All right, the last lesson we learned E, A, D, G, or eat all the grapes. And now what we're gonna do in this lesson, you guys, is take our left-hand fingers, start putting them in shapes that change the tone of our strings, and we're gonna learn something called an interval. An interval in music is the distance between the first note and any other note that you're traveling to. Our first little lesson, I'm gonna pick one of my favorite notes on the bass, and just so happens to be the 5th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, also has a dot. The name of this string is actually the same tone as this one. So that's A. I'm playing 2 A's there. And as far as the interval goes, I'm gonna start our first interval today as an exercise going from the first note 5 notes higher. On the bass, you don't have to do this, but it sounds like this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I have my pinky on the 7th fret of my A string, and my pointer finger on the top string on the 5th fret, the distance between my E string, which is now an A note, and my A string, which is now called an E, it's okay if it's a lot of notes, it's okay. The distance between those two is called a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a really great warm-up for bass guitar players is to play fifths with the top 2 strings, and then drop the whole shape down to the next set of strings, which would be my 3rd string and 2nd string. We actually count from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have our 3rd string and 1st string. The first place we started was our top string and our pinky on the 5th, which is the 3rd string, right? 4th string, 3rd string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I drop that shape down to my 3rd string and 2nd string. Notice how that is a distance of 5, just like that is a distance of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we'll teach scales later. But right now, let's start with a 5th exercise. That's my A string. Or sorry, that's our A note. And this is our E note. And what we're gonna do is drop down to D and B. These are our 5ths on the top string, 3rd string, and the same thing, but drop down 3rd string, 2nd string. Now I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. Let's go back up to the top string and go up over 1 fret to our 6th fret. Let's try it out. Oops, sorry, that's an octave. Okay, so far we've done 1, 5, 1, 5. Those are 5 notes apart. Slide it up the fretboard. I personally like developing strength in this pinky. You're like, but how come you're not using your ring finger, your middle finger, Daniel? Well, this just kind of looks kind of weird if you notice how my wrist is now doing some dance taekwondo moves, and my ring finger is actually an option if you want to try it out. I just have done pinky for all my 5ths, so it's kind of your preference. See which finger feels better. It is good to build some strength in those weaker fingers though. So far, 5th, slide up, back up to the top string. See how we're doing that? Let's go up a couple more frets, ready? I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. All right, welcome to 5ths. It's a really cool interval. The one thing you can do to remember 5ths is think of Star Wars. Have you heard of Star Wars? Right? So dun 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 dun. That's kind of your little melody for memorizing 5ths. Now that you got 5ths down, you probably noticed that my right hand was using my pointer finger and middle finger. Really good habits for bass players is to go alternating. Notice how my pointer finger and my middle finger are alternating. Good habits would be to say your top string gets 1 finger and the next note, that E note, is your middle, right? So we have, notice how as my 5th drops down the strings, so do my walking fingers, my little moonwalkers right here. All right, and the next interval, we're almost done, is not a 5th, but actually what's called an octave. When you think of an octave, you think of octopus has 8 legs, octagon has 8 sides. An octave, you guessed it, 8 notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1. Notice how these notes sound very similar. That's because they're actually the same note, 1 octave higher. So now that we've learned 5ths, let's try the octaves. We have our pointer finger on this A note that we've selected today. And instead of having your pinky finger on the third string from the bottom, I'm now going to drop down one more string to the second string. And this little string, this A string in the middle that's not getting much attention, we're just going to kind of leave him hanging. We kind of end up muting it with our pointer finger. Notice how he's just kind of muted right there. So octaves are now my top fourth string and my second string. Let's take the shape, drop down to the next set. Let's try again from the top. One fret over, come down. This is just a really good exercise to get your fingers moving, get your hands warmed up. And don't forget, in the right hand, we're still alternating both of those fingers. There's my octave. Maybe a couple more. How about 2 more frets? And you're like, Daniel, you told us a melody, Star Wars, for fifths. I got one for you for octaves too. One quick way you can memorize the distance between octaves is the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, right? Somewhere, low A to a high A. Those notes are 1 octave apart. All right, so we got fifths, we got octaves. I encourage you guys watching to try the exercises, moving up and down the frets, up and down the strings. And now that you've got your warm-ups, let's end today's lesson with one little riff, one little song that'll kind of give you something to work on after you've warmed up your fingers. And that song is called Smoke on Water. It sounds like this. And step 2 is you bite your lower lip and you start head bobbing like that. So you're a rock star. No, I'm just joking. You don't have to do that. All right, I'm gonna call numbers out loud based on where they are in the fret position. So if I say 0, we're playing an open E string. Smoke on Water starts on an open E, which is the lowest note on this entire bass. So it's actually kind of cool. It's kind of satisfying. You just get a nice low bassy sound. So I'm gonna say 0, 3. How did I find that? 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So 0, 3, 5. The next line is 0, 3, 6, 5. Notice how I actually use 2 fingers here. 6 on my 6th fret, my second finger, and my first finger on 5. So here it is again. 0, 3, 5. 0, 3, 6, 5. A little bit faster. 0, 3, 5, 3, 0. A little bit of a groove. Boom, 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 boom. You can sing like a little mouse like I am if you want to, or just don't sing. 0, 3, 5, 3, 0. And if you want to be next level, you slide way up to the 12th fret with the double dots, which is 1 octave higher than your open E string. So if you want to be sassy like I am, you can put a little high E on top at the end of your song. Let's all do it together. 1, 2, here we go. Fret. 1, 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5. Totally rock star right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you've now learned the names of your strings. You've learned your frets. We've learned fifths. You've learned octaves. And we learned Smoke on Water, your first riff. Give yourself a fist bump. But there's no one here to give me a fist bump, so I just gave myself one. But hey, great job, you guys. We'll see you in the next lesson.